Hello, beloved. It's me, Robin Hallett, intuitive healer and light sparkler at robinhallett.com, and this is Tea with Robin. On today's episode, just because someone is an air quotes authority figure, that doesn't mean they have authority over you or your life or how you want to roll, how you want to shine, on living an authentic life, and the pushback we receive. Our inspiration, some beautiful poetry to help ground ourselves in this time. And we'll have a letter from a friend who's struggling to find meaning in this year of COVID. She feels like she's living in an insane time. All this and more. Come grab a cup of yum yum and meet me here. Well, hello, beautiful friend. Welcome back to the podcast, Tea with Robin. This is episode 128, and if it's your first time here, hi, thanks. I hope you love it. We talk about healing and the real things that happen on a journey that a lot of people don't talk about. We do that here. So thank you for being here, and please say thank you to whoever got you here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Friends returning, hello. How are you? How is the weather in your heart? I hope that you are being gentle and loving with yourself and really practicing accepting yourself as you is, exactly as you is. It's a big challenge sometimes. I don't think we always realize how much we're trying to correct who we are automatically. So much healing comes from practicing allowing yourself to be exactly as you are. Yes, over here, it's a beautiful day. You might be noticing spring is coming. We're already 1 week into March. It sure feels like it around here. Most of our snow has melted. The cardinals are singing, and I'm doing really well. I had a beautiful birthday fun with number one husband. I told you it was his birthday last week. He enjoyed his presents. I made him a pair of slippers that they're ginormous. They're ginormous on him. They were even more ginormous on me, but it's really cute to see him going around in the slippers I made, and a few fun Hawaiian shirts for him. He's kind of a festive dude. We had a good time celebrating his birthday. This year, one thing is really clear for me. The people in my life, how much I appreciate them, and still finding that place of deeper appreciation still. You know, like this is what really matters, our connection. So I've been really in touch with that this week. And I'm feeling great, hanging in there with myself, you know, a whole year into this pandemic now, and it's still just like, whoa, for me, whoa. I'm noticing this week people ask me when I'm getting my vaccine, and there's been some questions like, when are you going back to in-person sessions again? And so I'm even feeling some of that rushed, I feel pressure, and I keep telling myself, hey, you're in charge of you, Robin. You get to decide what works for you. Yeah, I wonder if you're feeling any of that as well. In your own way, of course, because, you know, we're all different and we're all unique, not to sound spiritual cheesy, but we're all unique in our own ways. And we have to know how we're feeling about this stuff. We have to keep asking ourselves where we're at with it, what works for us, and allow ourselves to make the moves as we feel ready. And, you know, there's no one right fit for everyone. There's no one right answer for everyone. And this is kind of what I want to talk about today, by the way. There's no one authority on anything, and you really got to know what works, know yourself and know what works for you, and extend the same courtesy to other people. but know that, like, I'm not bad or wrong if I'm not agreeing with what you have to say about what I should be doing. Because people are opinionated, really, really opinionated. I mean, as it comes to the pandemic, oh, yes. But I mean, about everything. So we got to know what works for us and honor that. And sometimes that is the hardest work there is to do. What do you say about that? So you know what comes next, don't you? I hope you brought a cup of yum yum with you today. I would love to cheers us. Cheers to the journey. Cheers to a whole year of this experience we're in, this global awakening experience, really, I feel this time has been. And thanks for hanging in there with yourself. Thanks for choosing to be on this ride, practicing as you can. It's a beautiful thing. Cheers. So today, I wanted to talk about being authentically ourselves and how do we deal with the story that there's some expert opinion out there that knows better than we do what we should be doing. This week, I received kind of some silly feedback about the podcast this week. I'm not going to say what it was because that's not really what I want to do. But I'll say it was mean-spirited and public and kind of shaming, I wonder if you've ever had that situation happen. I hear these stories a lot. People who go into a doctor's appointment and the way you're treated by the doctor or the person in authority. You have a consultation with an air quotes expert about something you want to do, and they talk down to you like you're an idiot, or they use jargon like you should already know what this all is. And the point is that here you are in your beautiful life doing your thing, and someone steps across that line and says something to you or treats you in a way that shakes something in your core. That's what I want to talk about. How do we do that? How do we deal? How do we not stay mad or angry or even need to retaliate? So, no, I don't want to read the feedback or any of that. I have seen people do this. I'll tell you what, to be really honest, I have seen people do that online. And it just feels so mean-spirited to repost somebody's complaint. No, I'm not doing that. So attacking comments and attack retaliation, and there really is no need for it and no justification to be that way for me. But I have been very reflectful. Is that a word? Reflectful. Do I care? How much should I care? And what is this teaching me about myself? Which is a great question to ask because I am very tender-hearted. It definitely hurts my feelings. I also feel a little bit like, wow, it takes a lot of balls and you must be really upset, and in a small way, small upset. The Course in Miracles says there is no such thing as a small upset, though, right? The disturbances are ginormous for us. And yeah, so a lot of that is swirling. And I thought, let's talk about that because I know you've been in those situations too. Maybe people aren't leaving you comments, but you've been there, right? I really do want to talk about you being yourself in the world and the pushback you fear you're going to receive and the pushback you do receive. And how do we keep going? And for me, this has been a journey. I do believe I came online somewhere in 2010, 2011, and this has been a ginormous journey. huge journey. And I mean, even before that, going back, teachers, bosses, mentors, former therapists, maybe your parents or a sibling. We know what it is to be criticized, and worse, how terrible it feels. We know what that feels like, don't we? In our bellies, in our hearts. A lot of times when this stuff is done anonymously, so you can't even have a conversation, it's really bad. I go all the way back to getting notes in junior high, notes left for me on my chair. It feels bad. And for some of us, it feels so bad that we make a silent vow, never again. I am not putting myself out there because people are terrible, you know? And so I am actually really grateful for this kind of occurrence. It's rare, but it happens. It brought me back to something that I think most of us know, but we forget from time to time. And when something like this happens, we're brought back to it again. You just gotta please yourself, and you gotta be yourself, and you gotta know what fits and feels right for you. And there will always be this opportunity to feel criticized, to feel unseen, to be upset about what someone else has to say. But really, it always comes back to the reminder that we should be caring the most about what we have to say about things. So it's really an important teaching that just because somebody speaks with authority, it doesn't mean they're right. And just because somebody is very, very worked up about something, it doesn't make it true. And I wonder what would change for us if we started to apply that to our own hearts. When we think about the way we've been treated by people in authority who are supposed to know so much, they might be experts in one area, but they really seem lacking in skills of compassion or the ability to appreciate you and how hard you work at things and how much you're doing, or just you and all your glory, your beautiful self, your feelings. And in one moment, they might make a quick assessment. You know, we owe it to ourselves to remember nobody has authority over you but you. Think of all the stories I could tell you right now. So many ways I've experienced this energy in my life that people can be critical. And then I used to let that really bother me. I wonder if you can relate to that. That sounds like I'm saying it doesn't bother me, and it still does. I'm saying I have perspective now. You know, I'm remembering times though where I was unable to have perspective, and it just felt like, you know, the end of the world. And it doesn't anymore. I mean, it just really, to me, it highlights the other person so much more, and where what's going on, something's going on for them that they would react that way. And like I say, I hear stories where the person, so in such a vulnerable place and really being treated like crap, really, really, by the person in authority, you know? And so I wonder how you relate to this anyway. You know, I could keep rambling on, but I hope you'll take a moment and consider, how does this apply for you? Because we owe it to our own hearts not to stay bitter, not to stay hurt or stuck, you know, wounded in a place. I have to raise my hand because I did that for a very long time. I stayed in a place of being very hurt. And also, I guess, you know, I should also say we've probably done some hurting ourselves. You know, we've been harsh ourselves. We said things that you can't take it back, but I hope that there's repair happening if you're thinking of stuff. It's never too late to address what you said to somebody else, to set things right. I feel, this is me though. That's how I feel. Don't carry it. Don't carry it forever. Move the needle for yourself one way or the other. It's important. We matter. Another interesting point around this topic of authority and criticism is the stuff we're afraid of happening that hasn't happened yet. Do you know what I'm saying? It seems to me like a lot of stories I hear in healing sessions haven't even happened yet. It's like the fear of it happening is what's holding us back. The fear of being criticized is what keeps us from shining, being kind of being obsessed with getting bad reviews will keep a person from making any moves. And that is, if you've been criticized in the past, if you've stood in front of the class and given your presentation and you've been laughed at, all the stuff that happens to us, you need to hold your heart so tenderly and keep moving in the direction of what you would love. Because nobody, say it, nobody has authority over you. You are the boss of you. You're the boss of you. I'm the boss of me. I have to know what works for me. You have to know what works for you. And holding ourselves back is ridiculous because of what somebody might say or what one person has said or 10 people have said. And this is not to minimize. Some of you have been through some really intense things, and you might need some time to be prepared to step out again. I get it. I really get it. So you take the time you need, but don't let yourself sit behind the story and keep feeding it like a little fire, adding more kindling every time you see something or hear something or fear something. Don't keep building your excuses up, your evidence or whatever. Don't do it. You are necessary in the world. You are needed in the world. You're light. And that doesn't mean you have to get up on a stage and dance the can for us. But, don't hold back your love. Oh, that makes me think of this great Daryl Braithwaite song called The Same, Don't Hold Back Your Love. Don't. Just because. There's a dog barking. This is probably Snickers, who, by the way, if you heard the other episode, Snickers has been very naughty in the road again. So I just want to say, just because somebody speaks to you with an authority doesn't mean that they're right. And it definitely does not make them right about you. So I'm really surprised sometimes at the stories I hear and the way people are treated. If you're somebody who cares about what other people think, it's probably one of the best things then to find out for yourself how, to be criticized, to actually be criticized, to actually have it happen, and to realize it doesn't really matter. It's just what one person thinks. And also to see as a practice, how sensitive we have become to needing to anybody doing that to us and needing in a way, like such a perfectly coast. You know how they say the coast is clear? What are we waiting for before we get out there and do it? I know there's a lot of us out there, a lot of you I talk to or I hear from in messages where, I said this last week, it's really about the fear of consequences for you. What will happen if? What will happen if? And, we can do that forever. We can be afraid forever of the consequences of certain moves. But really, what is the point in holding your life back like that? What is the point of keeping yourself so small that you think you are safe when the price you pay is not really living fully out in a joyous way? Every day you are tasked with an opportunity, with a choice, really, to show up and shine. So you can care about the feedback and the reviews. You can care about the criticism. Or you can care in a different way. You can care about your aliveness. You can care about wanting to shine. You can care about feeling excited. You can care about feeling like yourself. I wish I could tell you, so many times I'll be in session and I'll say to somebody, what is it you really, really long for? And it will be, the answer will come, I want to be myself. I want to say it how I say it. I want to speak in my authentic voice. I want to live an authentic life. And I know the word authentic gets overdone, but I think that is the right use of the word. You want to feel like yourself. You want to feel like yourself. And so if you go around nipping parts of yourself away because somebody said some critical thing, no matter how strongly they said it, and again, even if they are an authority, an expert in their field, who cares? This is you. And you get to make the rules for yourself. When I think about the spark of the divine we all truly are, there's no other like us out there. We're original, unique. There is no comparing. And I guess that's a little scary, isn't it? To realize there's no one else out there that can really tell us for sure. But what if that made us feel incredibly free? I wonder. But we have to know that if we're living an authentic life, if we're following our own knowing, if we're taking our own counsel, if we're saying, how would I suggest going about this? What would I do in this scenario? You can bet there will be some criticism. Something might come. Something might come in the form of criticism or teasing or joking. I don't know. I wonder if you know what I'm getting at, because on some level, being yourself is incredibly powerful. And it will make people who aren't ready to change critical. And I know I could be saying that a lot better. It's some of this stuff is so hard to word, but if you've ever been critical of somebody else and you realize it's actually deeper than that, it's something that they're doing you would love as well. but it can manifest as criticism, or it can manifest as insecurity in yourself, or, I love trying it on the other way, because then I can see more clearly. I can see more clearly because I know I'm very, very flawed in so many ways. I mean, I have a great heart and I work at it for sure. But I get it. I understand. And even that helps me to keep choosing to share, to shine, to express, and to express myself without filters. You know what I mean? No filters. Yeah. To have the courage. If you challenge someone else's thingamabob, someone else's framework of who they are and how they do things, it's gonna bring some energy your way. I'm not saying count on it. I'm not saying it's 100% of the time. My point is, what if we didn't expect it to be the case? What if we didn't count on there being pushback? Because I personally feel like planning on being guarded, planning on having pushback, planning on expecting it to be rough, planning on it being challenging, planning on being denied, planning on being hurt. What are we doing? What are we doing there? So I would rather be interested in the quality of my day. Am I enjoying it? Am I doing what I love? When you do this long enough, you realize that if you care too much about the feedback and the reviews, the bad reviews, what you're really doing is holding yourself back, hiding behind your fear. And I don't know about you, but I've come too far to worry about a few poo-poo ka-choo reviews, Back in the day, there was so much advice, writing, blogging, and all these things. When you get a lot of pushback, that's when you know your content is really good. And I kind of feel like, you could say that another way then. Apparently you need somebody to criticize you before you know your stuff is good. And what if we just weren't even concerned with criticism? I mean, what if we used our thoughts about criticism as the reminder to step out of the nightmare? Somebody honked their horn twice. I like that. Honk, honk. What if we just caught our fantasies? Because I think everybody has fantasies about being criticized or not accepted or not getting a good report card on some level, not being loved in return, whatever it is. What if we just use that as the reminder to wake up again? Wake yourself up. This is the barrier to my aliveness right here. This fear of being criticized, or this fear, please convert what I'm saying, because I know not everybody is afraid of being criticized. And this fear of my aliveness, this fear of my, whatever your story is, this is the work right here, choosing your aliveness over anything else. What if we didn't count on the badness coming true? The mind is such a kooky place. It writes scripts all the time that never come to pass. Your mind and my mind. What if we didn't expect it to turn out that way? To count on it happening. And, even if it does, something happens. It doesn't mean the rest of your life is going to go that way. It doesn't mean that it's everything. I don't want to be so fragile in spirit that I can't tolerate a few bad reviews or a few, when people take a different stand, or they say they didn't really like working with me or something. So what? I don't want to be callous or unkind about it, But, this is my life, and I'm here living it, and I am not going to sit in my fear of not having everybody love me, right? But this was traumatic for me forever growing up. I had lots of experiences around that, just like I'm sure you did as well. So it's tempting to be afraid. It's tempting to be concerned. Last week I was telling you how nobody needs to get this stuff but us. And I hope we do get it. I hope we do appreciate fully the depth of our own tenderness around social stuff like this. Wanting to be liked, wanting to be appreciated or seen, wanting to be valued for the way we do things. I hope we can appreciate the depth of that and where it comes from, but also not be so attached, because you're here for you in this life, and we cannot cater to the naysayers. Please. Did we do that enough in junior high? I'm thinking I did enough for 10 lifetimes of that, but we cannot cater to the naysayers. We end up giving our authority away then, and this has huge implications. Who has the final say about you and what you're doing? It's you. You're the one. And if you feel like you can't stand your own counsel or you don't trust your own counsel, this is the time to begin then, my friend. Every day you have a new opportunity to know yourself. Start asking yourself, what do I know about this? Whatever it is, how would I say this? Speak directly to yourself. How would I say this? How would I write this? How would I express this? Or how do I want to do this? Ask yourself. Find the question that gets you where you need to be. You are your own guru. You are the one you've been waiting for. So, I guess that's what I wanted to say today. There might be pushback. There might be criticism. There might be people who think they know you by heart and speak to you with authority. But at the end of the day, it's still you need to be listening to. You are the authority for yourself. You know what feels true and authentic for you. Don't betray that for anyone. You can't. That's the journey, to know yourself. I gotta say, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you to the person. God bless. Cheers. So I thought today, for inspiration, I wanted to share a poem with you. This is a poem you may have heard of. You may have heard it as a song growing up. It's called Desedrata, and it's Latin. I'm not reading it to you in Latin, meaning things desired. And Max Ehrman, Mr. Ehrman, was an American writer and a poet and from Indiana, so super close to me. Of course, he's not alive anymore, but his writing is on spiritual themes, and I thought today this is a perfect one to go with what we've been talking about, and maybe you know it already. Desedrata. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery, but let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams. It is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. Max Ehrmann, written in 1927. Beautiful, beautiful. Actually, a lot of his writing is gorgeous. And I think I first heard this poem. I wonder if you remember this, any of you 80s babes out there. Wasn't there like a pop song? I'm not talking about the song from the 70s where they sang this poem in a song. I know that one, but I'm trying to remember. It's sort of like rappy, not rappy, but like, 80s with some of that voiceover, I think. Anyway, I remember from there, and I'm wondering if I've heard Morgan Freeman read this, who, Morgan Freeman's voice and this poem. It's kind of like me reading it to you right now. Yeah, so good. So, my friend, sometimes it's nice to sit down and read a poem like this. It's even more sweet to write it in your journal. And that's where this one is. I often like to write things down just for me. Sometimes I share it, but usually it's just for me. I like to write it down and receive the words, and that is something so powerful. So I hope you love this one, and maybe there's a line. Obviously, you're a child of the universe is so beautiful, and you have a right to be here, I love that. And nurture the strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. Is this not how we're getting through this pandemic and anything else that's happening? To keep building the strength in our own spirit, keep building our own core, keep having our own backs, keep honoring our own authority. Yeah, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So cheers, and may that serve you. Well, here comes the part of the show where I like to ask you to support this podcast. I wonder if you could share it along with a friend. I heard some really sweet stories this week, and I don't want to betray any confidences or anything, but it really touches me when somebody says, I have a friend really going through stuff, and I sent them the podcast, and they say they're listening, thank you. And so maybe there's somebody, or you can leave a review or share it somewhere if you're online somewhere. I appreciate it so much. And, always I say that we do this work together. It's the biggest for me. I really love knowing that we're not just listening and passing the time, on your walk or cleaning your house or whatever, making your art or whatever you're doing, that you're applying. This is helping you in your own heart. I love that so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I should say, I'm getting down to the bottom of the barrel for my letters. So if you'd like me to read a letter from you, you have something you want to share, this would be the week. I would appreciate you sending that in. hello@robinhallett is my email address. You can message me on Instagram or Facebook. The links are below the podcast you're listening to now. This week's letter, one of the last few, and sometimes I write you back and ask if I can read your letter, so that's what this is. This goes out to you, Carrie, and Carrie writes, "It's hard trying to find meaning in this insanity we've been living in. Everything is so frightening, and I wake up and I just go, I can't believe we're still in this timeline, and I just want to go back to sleep and wake up when it's done. And I try so hard. I have a coach, and I'm trying to work on my spiritual business and my music and wellness, and it's just so hard." So Carrie, I asked you if I could read this because I think we all feel this way in moments. And it's probably not our constant. It's probably not our 24/7 reality. But we will have time like this, won't we? Where we feel this way. Do you feel this way? I know I do. It's situational as well. Yesterday, number one and I went to Home Depot. We have a sump pump that needs to be replaced. It's getting tired, and you don't want your sump pump to be tired unless you like swimming in your basement. So we went to Home Depot, and usually our rule is during this pandemic that if we run an errand, we go first thing when the store opens just to minimize, exposure. But yesterday, for whatever reason, we went later in the day. The store was kind of full. What we were noticing is a lot of people didn't have their masks on properly, like only over their mouths, not covering their noses, which, it's all the same air. So as you're exhaling out your nose or inhaling, it's still going into the same place that the mouth does. So it's a little hard to understand that. And some people didn't have masks on at all. I don't even know what to say about that, in this time. So I was like, what the F are we doing at the store? Where I live in Illinois, it is a mandatory requirement that people wear their mask. So I know some people tell me some states it's not. In Europe, I know there are fines you can receive for not wearing one. So, but this was not my dissertation on mask or not mask. It's really about how easy it is to become afraid and how that will flavor what's going on after that. I noticed that my upset was beginning and it was starting to flavor my mood. You know what I mean? So things can start to feel a little bit upsetting. And, you use this word insanity, finding meaning in the insanity we've been living in. Things flavor other things, and you are impacted by your own words and your own energies. And it's just so important that we keep a perspective, that we don't tell ourselves a story and allow that thing to fester, because it will fester and you will sort of outpicture your experience through that. So that's one thing that's really, really important. And the other thing is, it is frightening. It is frightening. You know, I feel frightened as well. And I don't think that in a spiritual, let's say, practice or way, I don't think that we realize sometimes if we're scared, we're not doing anything wrong. And there's no need to fight it off with the stick or, you know, throw 800 spiritual, cheesy slogans at it. When you're scared, you just be with yourself, you slow down, you pay attention, and you give yourself some love. And you're not doing anything wrong, and you haven't failed or anything like that if you're scared. I feel like we need to say that again. You know, there's nothing wrong with you if you're afraid, and you're not doing anything wrong if you're afraid. The thing is, we are in charge of our experience, and we are the authority, you know, like we're the ones writing this script. So how do you want it to go? How do you want it to be? For me, when I slip into, I'm trying so hard and I'm not getting anywhere and it's just so hard, I can tell I'm going into a pity party. This is not you I'm talking about, Carrie. Only you can know. But I slip into that sometimes too. So, you know, you got to hold your own hand. You got to love yourself. And you don't have to have bravado. You don't have to like pump yourself up with false stuff, but hang in there. We're getting through this time. And you got to be gentle with yourself and also trying to work on your spiritual business. I tell you what, our biggest spiritual business is us and our hearts and our energy. Taking good care of ourselves. And are we doing everything we could be doing? That's the question. And before anyone thinks I'm talking about health trends and meditation and all of that has its place. But what I'm saying is, are we staying present with our own hearts? Are we going inside there and saying, hey, I am alive. I am here. This is happening. I'm upset. I'm afraid. Things don't have meaning to me right now. How can I be here with me? How can I be here for myself? You know, we got to do this. I get so much mail about kind of like the letter you wrote, you know, and we got to hold our own hand. I'm kind of stammering this along, but you got to hold your own hand. You got to show up for yourself. This is an emotionally challenging time. And it's hard. So cut yourself some slack. Be easy. You know, you got to do that. Be accountable to your own heart. Take responsibility for the feelings and the stories we're peddling to ourselves, is what I'm saying. And we are going to get through this time. A year is a long time. I mean, wow. You know, we used to love to go to movies that had storylines like this. At least I did. Sci-fi, fantasy fiction, dystopian, you know, like I said, post-apocalyptic. Well, here we are living it. Are we having fun? Because we're not reading a book or a story or a movie. We're living it. So, yeah, it's hard. It's challenging. And you mentioned it's hard to find meaning in this time. The last two episodes, 126 and 127, I really talk about meaning. And I think it's important. I wouldn't say it, but go back and have a listen if you haven't already. I think it's important because you're right. We need to find meaning now. We need to make meaning in a new way. I recommend some great books there. Eric Mazel's book, The Van Gogh Blues, I think it's called. we got to find things right now while we're waiting to get through that are meaningful to us. That's all there is to it. And sometimes it's hard, but not impossible, you know? It's okay to have things be sweet, to enjoy things right now. Sometimes I wonder if we have some guilt complex about, can you, especially friends who have friends with COVID now, or people with direct impact, there's guilt, survivor's guilt. There's all kinds of interesting things. So you got to stay on top of your psyche here. You got to inquire. I sound so bossy. You got to do this and you got to do that. But if you want to help, if you want to feel better, if you're interested in getting through, then try some of what I'm saying. I am thinking about like those shows now, the zombie shows, and the strong survive. And we have to be strong. We have to hang in there with ourselves. And so if you find you're in a place where it's too much, it's too hard, then ease off the gas pedal. You know, slow your roll. And don't forget who's walking with you, who's holding you. You know? Don't forget. So I'm not sure if that helps, but, you know, this is a time where we got to hang in there. And I don't know about you, but it makes me feel so much better sometimes if somebody else says, me too. This is really hard and I'm scared too. And it's okay. We're getting through this. So I hope somebody else feels good hearing that. And, you know, trust. We're not in a rudderless boat here. If you are in a spiritual way, you're here listening to this podcast more than once, it's probably who you are. This is where we got to trust in the principles we say we believe in. It's always easier when we feel like we're winning and things are going well. But this is the time. Keep the faith. The last thing I'll say, it might be feeling challenging to start a business in this time. It might, because a lot of us are not working and earning the same way. And, you know, certain priorities matter more than others, financially speaking. So, you know, I don't mean to sound like a downer, but keep the perspective. And if you have something to offer, I hope you're doing it regardless of whether you're not being paid. I hope you are showing up and serving regardless. I think that's what each of us is needing to do right now. It feels really important to me. I mean, that's what I'm about. It's always a blessing to be working, especially now, but also showing up and serving. That is such a blessing in the world. And it helps with the meaning thing. It really helps. All right, let's leave it there for today. Well, that wraps episode 128. I really liked it. I think it's pretty good. It's always nice to spend this time with you. So as I wrap up, it's Sunday, early afternoon. Number one and I are talking about renting a movie and popping some popcorn or ordering a pizza. We can't quite decide, and to you, I say so much love. You are loved. Hang in there with your heart. This has been me, Robin, super awesome Hallett, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Life is very short, let's make the very most of it. You are a precious gem and I love you. Do, 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 do. We are here to shine and shine bright. You are a gem and I love you. Do, 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 do. Life is precious and you are a spark of the divine. So shine like you know it, rock it like you mean it, 'cause you really, really mean it, and mean it, and mean it, and mean it, and mean it. Don't let crispy people tell you that you aren't sparkly, 'cause you are, 'cause you are, 'cause you are. Thank you. I like that. I love it, honey. Thank you. Give me a kiss. Thanks.